Hey everyone, I think I've got the audio stuff working appropriately now. So if this is really bad track, I guess I can make another one, muted or whatever in the meantime. Might have to mute or remake some of my older ones for Morgana. Anyhow, let's talk about the champion. So I finally feel, now that I am 40 games in, very comfortable on this champion. There's not a lot of people I wouldn't take Morgana against. She doesn't necessarily have a huge hard counter, plus you can just really outplay people. She has build options depending on their team. I think the Zhonyas is almost just necessary, but you can just do a lot. Even when you miss, if your ult's up, it's okay. If you land it, you can maybe save your ult on your bind. I'm learning things like when to get Abyssal, when not to. I definitely Zhonyas is almost necessary. Period. You can just learn, like, when you miss, it's time to back out, and it's when you hit, it's time to go in. And there's just crazy things you learn from playing this game. I would definitely recommend that you main a champion and do this or something like it before you play ranked on a champion. Before you're necessarily ready for ranked, you kind of really do need the whole experience minion to learn how to fight in different circumstances. It'll help you with your dragon fights, it'll help you with your baron fights, just to understand a champion against a broad range of champions. Because just knowing your lane isn't exactly the game of League of Legends. That's just part of the game. Knowing that you can win your lane is different than being able to win the game as a champion. So if I can at least farm and just be able to be safe and do my thing on Morgana, I'll win more often than not. Games 31 to 40, I actually go 9-1. I think part of it was just having fairly capable teams. Honestly, I played with my friends mostly, so that probably helps my record go up because I can trust them to do what I find to be the right action more often than not. And I just think that that's pretty cool. I'm learning how to get in and out of situations on Morgana. I'm learning what I can and can't get away with more so. Not perfect, never going to be perfect. People are also good at this game. Even if you're good at this game, it doesn't mean the other guy isn't good. So he might make a play or understand something you didn't understand, or do something that you didn't expect. So it's definitely there. You have a lot of learning on a lot of champions. So that's what I'm kind of getting out of all this, and my point I'm trying to get to is just how much you can learn about the game by playing a bunch of games randomly, mid here in Rift, support here in Rift, dual lane here, run Dominion a lot just to have all the different skirmishes and battles. Like, I feel way more comfortable against bruisers, against like someone like Zed than I used to. Darius doesn't scare me as bad, right? Playing Morgana, I'm comfortable there. And just matchups you can get comfortable with are just kind of a big deal. Learning when your binding is going to be that lethal binding compared to just harass binding is kind of a big deal to me as well. And just being able to position your ult, knowing when you can or can't bind, what you can get away with, why Zhonyas is powerful, and the timing of it for what you're doing, and just what you can get away with for Morgana specifically. So if you want to learn Morgana, I strongly recommend that if you do this. I'm 40 games in, I've probably done about 15 Dominion, and it gave me a different feel because people just fight you all day. So you just learn to fight at a rapid pace. You get in more skirmishes than you're going to get in Rift or Treeline. And then Treeline helps you with laning without wards and ganking, and teaching you your quick reaction on your shield to shield yourself with the right person when someone comes in. And then it teaches you the farming techniques without being in a full Rift game, and it's easier to get my champion I want when I play Treeline. If I say, hey, I'm going to go play Treeline and I'm going to play Morgana, and I don't get a lot of complaints. But if I take Morgana and Rift and they're like, no, I want mid, and you get stuck supporting sometimes when you don't want to support. And people are less worried about the meta when you're practicing in Treeline. So then you get comfortable with the champion, start taking them and doing well, and you're confident enough to say, hey, I want to go mid, and it's not an experiment to see if you can learn the champion, it's so that you can dominate a game. And when you have mid, you don't embarrass yourself or whatever I don't know if that's the right words to use, but you really pull it off, and that makes a difference when you can do that. But the best place to learn is probably Dominion and Tree Line to learn the champion. And dude, I mean, go ahead and rift whenever you want, or just argue with people about your mid, or I hate those arguments, so sometimes it's easier to just Tree Line to learn it. And I'm definitely more comfortable in mid. I went against a fairly decently high elo Yi in this set, and it worked out pretty well for me. So there was 3-on-1. I killed someone, so I'll start talking about my games that are happening. So Poppy, if she actually targets you to do the bonus, then you can bind her and walk away. So you kind of actually counter Poppy about as good as Poppy can be countered. You can stick her in place, and when her ult's down, she's very vulnerable to Morgana. She's not necessarily strong with her ult down. That's what I kind of learned out of this game. I learned that Zed is really hard to hit, and that because of the short range for Evelyn, you're not that bad of a pick against her. In fact, if I was going against Evelyn mid, I would possibly do that. Also, you learn how to be quick with your Zhonyas against people like Zed. If you Zhonyas his ultimate, he actually really has nothing. And your Black Shield can stop, like, V's ultimate. Your Black Shield can stop Fear Tethers, and you see it coming. So that's kind of cool. So this is another game. Malphite's not my favorite person to go against ever. Rock really isn't that scary to me on Morgana now. You can shield up some of his damage or the bind if you time it appropriately. You can bind him back. He has to get pretty close to you. And people that have to get in close to you, you can kind of land your stuff a lot easier. Nocturne, I like that he has to put the Fear Tether on you, and it's like you have this huge window of reaction before it's a big deal on his Fear. So that makes it kind of easy to land it. Your stuff. Who else is in this game? My opponents. Shaco, you can kind of, if you think there's going to be a box there, you can at least not be feared by it if you want to go over there. Gangplank is just really not the person I like to go against. He can just, if you hit your binding, he can just eat oranges, and it sucks to be you. So that kind of wasn't my favorite champion to deal with. Malphite's annoying, but you can sort of stop him. So there I got killed, but we win the fight pretty hard, so that was good. Learning sometimes that you will sacrifice, unless your team has a tank, you kind of have to pseudo play that role for your team, and I have been learning how to do that a little better. Yeah, able to pick up Nocturne really easy with the help of Kennen. Kennen has those stuns, they're pretty OP, and depending, like, you just have to know, like, I can't try to shoot while there's the creep waves. So what I'm trying to do is just keep him in range, even if he's fearing or doing whatever, so that he can't get away. You could just run in, and if you're not going to be able to land an easy binding, don't use your binding until you have to. It was kind of like when I was playing Taric ranked a lot. I didn't even play Taric more than 1 or 2 games before I started playing ranked, and I used Taric mainly to get myself to 1500 on this account, and I learned when to not stun. Necessarily when to stun, but when not to. And it's kind of the same thing on binding. Learning to not just shoot your binding when the shot's going to be a very difficult shot, and saving your binding for times where it's going to make a difference but not miss is kind of important. I find that to be when you really start feeling good on Morgana. It's when you get way better accuracy with your binds when you do that. So this game, I'm going against Volibear, Singed, Shen, Teemo. I hate Teemo. Teemo, more so when I'm Singed, but I just have animosity towards Teemo from I like to play Singed. So, we're gonna, my Renekton's just kind of reckless. Their Teemo's sort of reckless as well. And, so here, yeah, able to pick everyone off and get away with low life. Singed is kind of a hard matchup, but you can bind them, which really does hurt someone like that. When you have a player like Singed who needs to get in and be mobile, then binding him is a big deal. Volibear has to charge at you to do anything, so I was able to land quite a few binds on Volibear without issue. Singe is an issue if you bind someone else and he's running at you. That kind of sucked. So I learned that out of the game. Teemo, he's not that big of an issue. You can even, if you step on a shroom, you can shield a lot of the damage if you don't think you're going to need your shield in the next little bit. So here I just didn't want him to get to the point, pick him off through the wall. Just predicting movement and just learning to play to predict movement, but it helps you with other champions. Like when I play other champions, I'm more conscious than I was before I started doing this of where people are going and how can I get in a position to land a binding, because since it catches on minions and it's not a fast projectile, I had to get really creative sometimes on how to land bindings. See there, I just kind of knew where Zed likely would be and shot as high of a percentage as I could shoot on that one. And I'm learning even like tanks, if they're caught out of position, a single binding can ruin their day. So I think pretty much I was the only one who killed this Singe. I think he dies a couple times without me, but not very much. He really was. He was a pretty good player. Singe is hard to deal with. Zed does a lot of damage and he's mobile, so he's hard to lock down. He had to kind of be committed to a fight for me to have any effect against a Zed. Yeah, I wasn't able to chase that down because I don't die to chase a single kill anymore. That's just not good. There I flashed his shroom. Was one of the reasons I flash here, even though I walk on it later. I didn't want to be slowed by it and let him get away, because if I try using my ult to lock him down, then he was just going to walk away. That was my thought on this play. Sometimes my thoughts are just to capture a tower or to finish someone. Here Teemo is just being a major pest, plus it's like Teemo animosity, which is probably a bad idea to unload my ult for one person out of Teemo animosity, but I do win this game, I believe, so that's okay with me. Yeah, basically take him out when you can. Your pool can be used and then grab the point to clear the wave while you're trying to clear the point. Sometimes I'll flash just to stay in range or to re-ult or land a binding. This game, going against Darius and Akali, it made me realize that Darius is super dangerous. Here, I think I do die. I do not remember, honestly, but I get two people with my ult. We pick off Akali. If I die, then I think I screw up because I don't think I die here. So here you can shield some of the damage and you can take out when retreating from Ezreal, do make sure you're watching the mini map to stop his ult, because picked off in these 4 ults probably deaths are when I thought I'd escaped and they ult. So Akali's one of those down, so don't be afraid to use your ultimate to fight Akali when you don't have your ultimate. Your ultimate need to stun her, so and that binding is a damage. So if you're not landing that, she's probably going to just blow you up. So my serious thing against Akali is someone getting oracles and do not fight without the ult available. So here Jax gets, but it's gonna feed the Jack. So I'll have this thing that champion the world. I have much with Darius. Morgana. There, Pantheon just gets greedy. Trying to kill me, and I wasn't low at all, and I just stun him under tap. Here I flash to reposition and help. So Shaco does a pretty good job of this game. I think he stole their blue buff at level 1, and then I got a because of that. Yeah, that's just more than winning your lane with kill more than one person. Early you're not going to hit a lot of 5v5, so you're not going to hit 5 people, so just get what you can. Here I don't really want to dive in too hard, but I do want to get in there. The fight picks people off.